I mean, if you guys haven't met Rob and Dave, there are their mugs up on the screen. It's Rob on the right, Dave on the left, by the way. Dave.
Sorry, mate, just dropped out. We're back on.
No, that's cool. Can we? I might keep you on the phone if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it could be my end even with the audio. So I've just muted you and I've got you on speaker, and you're actually coming through loud and clear on the mobile device.
Perfect. All right. I'll just mute your computer. Done.
So I was just thanking you guys for last week,
Yep.
and it was awesome. Like, it was appreciate you guys doing that and getting up first, and also for today for joining us. So for those people listening that don't know who you guys are, do you mind giving us the quick overview?
All right. So yeah, we're Rob and Dave. I'm Dave. I'm Rob. And we're from Melbourne. We do unit development, that's our niche, and custom homes. We do a little bit of custom homes, but probably about 70% of our stuff's unit development. And when we're talking unit development, it's more the standalone sort of townhouse sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we work out of the northern suburbs in Melbourne.
Excellent, man. Now, you guys, you've got an interesting story in terms of how you were niched in renos, and then you pulled the plug on that. After you had spent, I don't know, 4 or 5 grand on your marketing, you had brochures, website, banners. You had like 8 banners done, thinking of renovating, and then you pulled the plug. So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, we basically we did my place out in West Preston, and we got probably 6 reno extensions out of it in surrounding streets. So we thought, wow, this is really taken off. We got the banners done. We were going to get the cars done. Our website was directed to renovations and extensions as well. And yeah, look, we had a multi-unit going at the same time as a few renos, and I think it was just one day I came back into the office and I said to Dave, look, I almost broke down, and I just said to him, look, I can't do this, the reno side anymore. It's just, I don't think we're cut out for it, and basically, look, we did start in the multi-unit field. So yeah, Dave was all for it, because Dave kept saying to me, look, let's go back to multi-units, and I was the one that kept pushing back, saying no, renos, and then yeah, I sided with Dave, so he got his way, and off we went, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a good call, and I think we've spoken about that zero-based thinking scenario. It was a case of like knowing what you knew then, and looking back, what would you do differently? And you decided, man, this is it. We wouldn't do renos. So you came to that realization, which is pretty important for everyone else listening. You may find you're running down the wrong path, and it's okay to change that.
Yeah, and look, I think the most embarrassing part was, and I told you this the other day when we were in Sydney, was I said to Dave, geez, how do we tell Kurt? Like, you're going to think that we're amateurs and this is that. But Dave was like, nah, let's just tell him, let's bite the bullet and just do it. And we did. And yeah, haven't looked back.
Yeah, no, I was very surprised when I got the call, or you guys told me you're making that decision, because the reason being is that doing that marketing brochure for most people is like, no disrespect to the woman out there, it's like giving birth, when you finish that thing. And you guys have done that. You've done the brochure, you've done the website, you've done the banners. For most people, once they get over that hump, they're like, that's it, never again, set and forget. But you did all of that, and just so it wasn't like you left it for a long time and then had a breather. You just went, no, we're gonna change all this.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Yeah, so that was it's great, and it's good to be able to talk about it. But you guys are interesting from my perspective. Like, I've worked with hundreds of builders, right? So I see guys go through transformation. You guys are interesting because you've achieved significant success and in terms of the results with your business. And it's been pretty recent where you've had sort of like a major breakthrough. But prior to that, it was let's be honest, like when guys achieve success, often people look at them and go, I got lucky, or they got lucky, and they don't see all the hard work and the pushing through the plateaus that happens before you break through some sort of a glass ceiling. So can you tell us a bit about that? Like, tell us a bit about what you were, the volume of work or the turnover you're doing when we met, and then what it's looking like now at the moment,
Yeah.
and then into next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, we started at around about $2 million turnover. We were doing a year before we jumped on board with you. This year is looking. We've reached our target of 6 million, and I reckon we should get one more job across the line before the end of the year. It'll probably take us to close to 7 million, and that's so that per calendar year, and that was so 2 million was about 2 years ago, I reckon, 18 months ago, and we've just increased our insurance every 6 months, I think it feels like. And our next year target's from January to August to 10 million, and then we're going to put the wheels in motion to make sure we get our warranties insurance up around the 17 million mark, so we can tackle that in 2018.
I love it.
Everything that we're working towards was. It felt like maybe 6 months ago, all the pieces of the puzzle really just finally clicked into place.
Yeah.
We're pretty slow off the mark when we working on our business. Sometimes it gets put on the back burner. So once we got our butts into gear, maybe about 8 or 9 months ago, we really just started hammering it. We employed a marketing analysis to do that type of stuff for us because it wasn't our strengths, and then. And the flow-on effect from all the systems that we were using really clicked into place about 6 months ago, I think. And since then, everything has been, a lot smoother. I think about a month ago, there was a period of a few weeks where myself and Rob were really doing nothing in terms of day-to-day stuff, which used to bog us down so much. So that was it was refreshing. Rob felt a bit guilty, but I couldn't care less, to be honest. It was nice.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I remember that week where you said you felt. I think Rob, you said you felt guilty taking your wage because you didn't do much. But
it happened for about 2 to 3 weeks. I said, Dave, I feel bad. Once again, we're getting paid, and Dave's like, just suck it up. It's going to get busy again. And unfortunately, we're both flat out now, and we're losing sleep because we're just so busy. But yeah, it was good for about 2 or 3 week period where drawing a wage and we weren't doing much, but
but that was just after you had signed that. You had that week where you signed 4 contracts in 1 week, which was interesting. So you obviously, you guys were working hard at one stage, and I know you're motivated by different things as well. So Dave, you're not motivated by money, are you? And Rob, you more sort of financially motivated?
Yeah, I love money.
Love money, yeah, unashamedly. I love money as well, and also what it gives us in terms of choice. But where does your drive come from, and how's it changed? Because I know there were times there where I know you in particular, Robert, looked at me and you're like, it's like you were over it, man. Like you're a bit like a sulking teenager who was like, this is just this is BS. But then that's all changed. I know you've got this renewed enthusiasm where I think like you could see huge potential.
Yeah, look, the problem I've got is I'm a bit of a confidence player. So if you go back 6 months ago, before we signed, or maybe even more, 7 or 8 months ago, before we had that good week of signing 4 clients up, we didn't have too many runs on the board, and it was just like, where's our next one going to be? You're like a gambler chasing that win, and then it just. I don't know, it just all happened in that week, and then just the inquiries picked up and our names getting thrown around, and it just all turned, and the confidence kicked in, and so now, like, I wake up out of bed and I'm hanging to get to work. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. So you have your shit days, but of course that's with anything, any job, I guess. So
yeah, but. Just for the people listening, it didn't just happen by itself. Like you guys were putting in some hard yards with your marketing, right? So there was this, what you were doing is like building up a groundswell. You're like really cranking it, but there wasn't much happening. But then all of a sudden there was like a tsunami that came from all that effort that you were putting in. I think that's so important for people to understand, because there's some people listening where maybe putting in these hard yards, they're cranking it out, they're networking with architects, they're putting out flyers, they're doing stuff, and there's not a lot coming through or conversions happening, but eventually, sometimes it happens straight away, sometimes it happens steadily, other times there's nothing, and then there's a tsunami, sort of like what happened to you. But so when that hit, all of a sudden you realize, shit, this stuff works, it's game on, and then you had some systems and team restructuring that you guys needed to do, obviously because of the sheer volume of work. So I know you put on office admin. You used a marketing strategist, Amanda from Sea Salt. But so tell us a bit more about your team and your system structure that you went through, the change you went through with your systems and your team.
So in terms of systems and sort of software stuff that we use, we obviously came from nothing. We didn't have anything in place besides a few Excel spreadsheets and a couple of loose leaf calendars was our scheduling. So we use Xero for our accounting software, Build Exact for our estimating software, which is a Melbourne-based company. I find it very, very easy to use, which is really good. I think some of them, I trialled a few of them. We actually spent about 7,000 or 8,000 with Constructor, and then I just pulled the plug on that as well because it was just a bit too in depth for what we needed. And so we switched over to Build Exact for our estimating. We use Builder Trend for our scheduling. And then we use Google Drive for all our holds all our files on the cloud. And so from a software sort of point of view, that's what we use. From a systems point of view, we cleaned up our front end, our sales so well now that we can almost barely handle the inquiry that's coming in and the prelims that are coming in at the moment. And Rob was just talking to me about an hour ago saying, is it worth hiring someone else this close to Christmas just to carry some of that load? So with the office admin, there's me and Rob in the office and two guys out in the field, two supervisors that run about 7 or 8 sites each.
Fantastic. And with the inquiry, what's the volume at the moment? Because you test and measure how many come through and then how many. Yeah.
So we get anywhere between 20 and 25 inquiries a month. That filters down to about 15 to 20 questionnaires that get returned, and then we filter until we find the right sort of clients. I've actually just put another filter on our questionnaire. I've included our fees for quoting, so I tell people at the questionnaire stage that we will charge for quotes, and I've noticed that filters a lot as well. So from the 20 to 25 sort of inquiries we get, maybe get about 10 now a month of questionnaires coming back to us, which is perfect, which gives us a chance to focus on them a lot better rather than filtering those other 10 questionnaires that used to come back with saying we charge for quotes and then them pulling the plug. So
so that volume of inquiry, that's had a huge impact on your mindset, right? Because as you in terms of how you view the inquiries, because when you were desperate or you didn't have a lot of inquiry coming in, you were sort of needily chasing everything, as opposed to now you were saying you've got a whole different level of confidence. So tell us a bit about that. Yeah, how that's changed.
Before we did any marketing, I say this all the time, we used to whore ourselves to every single inquiry that came in. We used to do everything we could to try and win them because we'd have to win close to 90% of the inquiry. So it was whatever the client wanted, they would be on top of us straight away. They'd dictate straight away. Whatever margin they dictated to us or whatever profit, that was what we had to do because we needed the job. So since our marketing sort of went through the roof, it's gone back to probably about 10% of those inquiries that have come through that we concentrate on. And out of those 10% that we concentrate on, we only really have to win 2 or 3 of them. Well, not even, maybe 1.5. So that does change your mindset because you can start dictating. And, it all stems from what Dwayne teaches us in terms of the rules of the game. We dictate the rules. This is how we do it, and that's it. And I always say, you don't walk into McDonald's asking them for a Whopper, and that's the same with us. You
come here. This is what we can offer you. Now it's up to you to engage with us. And before we didn't have that type of leverage over the client. We just had to do what they told us to do.
Yeah, that's profound. It's massive because it's doing business on your terms. And I know, like recently, your list of deal breakers, so to speak, has grown. Like you're looking for more ways to cut people, right? Like to cut them loose and to send them away. So what are some of the more recent ones? I think Rob, you're talking about some the other day where you look at the feedback form, or you're speaking to them, and then they say or do something, and you're just like, nah, they're gone.
Well, I think sort of going back a step, that what we did with putting our charging for quotes on our inquiry form, that's we had a bit of a drama, that awkward conversation where you get them into the office. And then I'd have a meeting with them, and Dave would say, "Did you let them know that we're charging for quotes?" "Oh shit, I forgot." Okay, so we've wasted potentially an hour. So that there's cut a lot of the time wasting out. That sort of makes sense. So that's put up a bit of a hurdle for them now. Once they're past that stage, I will speak to them, get as much info off them, and if they don't fill out that budget question, that's the one I go to straight away. Or some clients think, oh, we're just going to work, bump up our price if their budget's too high. So they like to lowball their budget. So we tell them straight out. Yeah, tell them straight out. You're $200,000 or $300,000, too cheap. Go elsewhere. We're not the right builders for you. We build quality sort of thing without putting too many other builders down. So
there's also, we use other filters throughout that questionnaire. So if we're up against more than 3 other builders not interested, if I had one lady that this is the thing. If I didn't have that questionnaire, I would have never have known this. But she, in her questionnaire, when I asked it, I'd ask her, give us a brief description of what you want, etc. Her answer was, "I've got a builder in mind. I just want one more quote." And I'm just like, wow. Really? Can I really quote it for you? I'd love to. You know what I mean? Like, those were the things that we didn't know a year ago without this questionnaire. There were other things, like I think we were saying last week, about a month ago or two ago, when a lady rang and with 14 units, which would have been about $13-14 million job. Sorry, $3 or $4 million job. I was chomping at the bit. Rob returned the inquiry. She didn't want to give us her email address for us to send the inquiry form out. She was just like, "Nah," and we asked why, and she's like, "Nah, I don't feel that I need to fill anything out." And Rob just said, "All right, well, no problem. See you later." And Rob came up the stairs and told me about that, and in my head, I'm like, I feel sorry for the builder that is going to do that job, because she's a dragon, and she's going to send that guy bust. And rewind to 2 years ago, we would have been that builder, or we were that builder.
We would have gone there after hours, her terms, her time, her everything, on a weekend as well, done everything just to quote that job for her, just for her to tell us that, we're probably too expensive, or she's waiting on 10 other quotes, or whatever it is. So I just find that if they're not prepared to follow your process during just the quoting stage, well, they're not going to follow it during construction either.
And it wasn't until we increased our marketing that we realised that other person, or that different personality existed, that there were people that were happy to be dictated to in turn. And I don't mean in a bad way, but happy to feed into your process, I guess, or to buy into your sales process and the way that you do things. And admin girl taught us a lot. She came from a volume builder, and she taught us a lot about their processes and why. And that really made me believe that there are these people that aren't fixated on the bottom dollar, and just want a good job and good communication. And that really helped clear that mindset, I guess.
Yeah, it comes back to your marketing. Marketing, having the volume so that you can afford to say no. Because if you had one lead coming through a month, like I said, 2 years ago, there's no way you'd turn people away. And secondly, your marketing is engineered and designed to build trust and authority. So people are looking at what comes through your marketing and have a certain opinion or impression of you guys that puts you in a position of power. They trust you know what you're doing, and they see you as an authority in your space. So they're prepared to follow your advice, which includes using a prelim. But just coming back to your admin lady, because you've got two supervisors now, you got admin lady. She came with experience. Was that like part of your selection criteria? Because you obviously looked at other people, you interviewed some other people for the role. Was that one of the things that got her the position? The fact that she worked for this other big building company.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had over. It's an admin role, and it was suited for school hours. So you could imagine. I think we had over 200 applicants. You can imagine. It was really a sort of target.
200. Did you say 200?
Over. I had to cancel the ad. I cancelled the ad after the second week, I reckon, because it was just too many.
Yeah.
And we filtered down. Obviously, we found the people that had sort of worked with other building companies, I guess. And then it came down to two, and one of them, this one. I mean, she fitted the culture a bit more, I felt, and that was our big thing. Culture was a huge thing for us. And she was one that we thought she would slip right in. She'd fit in with our culture, with our team, and that was hugely important. And the other big important was that the fact that she came from a massive volume builder. And as much as people talk about their quality and all that aside, that they run successful businesses. You know what I mean? These people run. They all do design and construct, which is the best business model. For our industry. They know what to do, and they're all largely successful. So that was a huge thing to get it from here, to get it from there. And she went over what they do, and I was blown away at how they get people in. And it's not through deception or any. I mean, their initial stuff's through sort of a little bit of deception with the way they advertise, how they how cheap they build, but people buy into it and they sign them up. And I used to say, how do they get away with it? And she's like, but they knew the rules from the start. And that was a huge thing for me, and that's why now I have every single uncomfortable conversation that I know that I'm going to encounter throughout the whole journey. I have it right at the start, right at the beginning. And then if they walk out, good, and never come back, perfect. I don't want them as a client. But if they're hanging around, if they're listening, even better, because then I know I'm going to have a really good relationship with this person throughout the next 12 to 18 months, really. We have, you need to have a relationship with your client that, I say it all the time, it lasts longer than some, Hollywood marriages. So it's true, I mean, we do design and construct, and that's a year in the planning process through council, and then a year of build, and you really need to pick your clients, and having strong marketing helps you so much, because as soon as you get a bad client from day one, you've got to work with them for the next couple of years. That's brutal.
Yeah, no, spot on. But your admin lady, obviously coming from a highly process-driven background, because the builder she worked for had process for everything. She walked in and she had all these points of reference from that other company, and she straight away noticed something that you were doing, Rob, and she pretty much asked you, what the hell are you doing, right, as it relates to dealing with clients. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so she basically, I think it was day one or day two, I was probably by the second day, she realised I was getting about 60 to 70 phone calls a day, and I'm in the office. So she's like, what are you doing? Why isn't your supervisor dealing with the client? Why are you doing this? So because I was on site, I think my biggest thing was I was struggling to let go, and she basically said, hey, you've got to let go and you'll have more time to work on your business and work on other things. And I took it on board, and
she said we should be there for the happy times of the client.
Yeah,
and she goes, you shouldn't have to deal with all the junk that your clients are throwing, and that should be directed to your supervisor, because they're the guys that are looking after it. And that was a big, that's right. We should be there for the happy times. Sign them up, do the walkthroughs with them, hand the place over to them. And, our supervisors should be dealing with, the door swinging the wrong way. Absolutely minor issues that we were dealing with, then passing it on to the supervisor. So that was a big thing that she sort of brought on.
So we would have about, say, 7 or 8 sites going, and you could imagine the clients want to do a walkthrough just because they want to see the place. So almost every day I was dealing with a different client on site, and then I'd be stuck on site, and the tradies are talking to me, and I'm giving the tradies instruction as well while I'm there, and it was just getting a bit too much. So yeah, she said, look, let your supervisors take over, and I did, and yeah, look, it's really helped. It's helped a lot. So
how many hours a week are you not? Has it saved you?
Oh, geez,
Probably 3 or 4 hours a day.
yeah, I reckon about 3 hours a day.
3 hours a day, man. Like you do the maths on that. That is phenomenal.
And I still want to pull back even more. I'm just
There's still a little bit of overlap, but
because the client still wants to, because we're signing the client up, they still want to deal with Dave or myself. We're just still struggling a little bit to say, all right, sign here and I'll see you at the end of the project. So
we're working out a way of where we can involve them as much as, or involve ourselves as much or as little as we can, that will keep them happy. So and that's all about getting them to trust our supervisors, and then it goes back to the culture thing, Kurt. If you've got the right culture and you're translating that message from myself and Rob throughout the whole team, we are completely transparent with our whole team, then they can relay that message to the client. And then, we almost are robots, really, because we're all saying the same message, we're all saying the same thing, we all know the profit margins, we know the sales figures that we need to get to, they know everything that me and Rob are working on inside the office. They come, they have input, we talk about every Wednesday those hindsight diaries about where we can improve across the board, and that helps a lot as well.
Man, that's huge. Well, if it's 3 hours a day, 720 hours a year. That's for over 48 weeks, and if you had $100 an hour, it's easy math, 72 grand. Just that one thing, which came from your admin person. So you guys recruiting as someone that had come from an environment that was system or process driven. And she could see one thing, you took action on it. That's the thing. You actually chose to, let's do that. It makes sense that she was doing it with them. They were doing it there. So why don't we do it here? 720 hours. You could spend that time with your family, chilling out. You could take part of it and do that, and you could take the rest and invest it into doing other things, like doing your own developments or improving your business system. So that is a massive win just from that one comment that she made. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's it. Just quickly, what are if you had to narrow it down, what would be the 3 biggest wins for you guys? Like this year, 2016, what have been the 3 biggest achievements for you?
One is the marketing. Getting that, seeing the results of that hard work or that process, I guess. 2 is the front end stuff in the business. It's really systematic now, which is awesome. There's a lot more clarity around the front end of our business and who's doing what.
To give you an example of that, Kurt, is we used to start sites without even having everything ready. So we'll just start a site, and clients haven't even made their final decisions, and it'll just be so messy. So now we've put it in place that we don't start anything until all selections are made. And even though we get pushback from the clients, we're like, no, these are our rules, these are our terms. We don't start until you've made all your selections, and that's helped. That for me is one of the biggest things. Yeah,
and the pulling back from sites, pulling back from what's happening every day out on site. I mean, I've completely removed myself from it. Rob's still got some overlap, which is fine because he's considered the construction manager anyway. But from where it was last year, or even 6 months ago, before Lauren started with us, to where it is now is enormous.
Man, that's fantastic, guys. I know you're both busy. I'm not going to keep you any longer, and I can just hear. It's so good to hear the motivation and conviction in your voice. Like you've changed. I'm glad you motivated and excited about your business, and next year is going to be an absolute cracker for you guys. So
exactly. Can't wait.
No, awesome, man. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Kurt.
Cheers, guys. Bye. There you have it, guys. The RODA boys, phenomenal success. So hopefully you got a few gems out of listening to their story. And I think if there's one message to get from all of this, from my perspective, and obviously you've got your own as well, but just taking action. just consistently taking action in whatever area your business needs, whether that's your marketing, getting, developing your team, looking at your profit wheel, identifying where the upside potential is, and then just following through on improving it and not having to reinvent the wheel, using the processes and systems that have already been tested to work for other guys like yourself. And again, like I said, if you're doing that and if you're following that philosophy of Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement, following that success cycle, you cannot lose. It is that simple. So remember to jot down any specific action items from today's call. Other than that, have a fantastic weekend, man. I can tell you what, it's day 72 of my no sugar, no carbs diet. And I want to thank you guys again because the accountability is with you when I put that post up there. But tomorrow's pig day, and believe you me, am I going to be the biggest pig of all pigs out there? I'm going to Cranidi's, our favorite Italian restaurant. And I'm going to have an absolute field day. So I cannot wait. You guys have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. Cheers, guys.